Hello everyone, Lorenzo here. Welcome back to another episode of KSP Next, episode 7, a special edition brought to you by throat diseased Lorenzo. Right, we're starting right off with the Edison 1. Mission objectives are to test fly our new RD-108 engine released by the Skunkworks people. After the last episode where Valentina tragically died, rumor has it she has been spotted in the astronaut complex. By the way, no one knows how this is possible. We're reverting to developing launchers for satellites. Let's get some actual orbiting skills under our belts. We're a little bit higher up with this Edison 1. It's carrying a satellite and booster separation is looking good. Basically, the side boosters are cores that have tried and tested technology. And the center engine is pretty strong. I'm circling here the speed because the thrust to weight after that booster separation really isn't good. But you know, that's how things happen, unless the engine dies and fails. So here we go. We're not even close to space. We're passing back into subsonic speeds now. This is not even close to a success. Let's test out the next stage engine and see if that even works. That's 40 kilometers. Why not? Good as altitude as any. Lighting the SRBs to settle the propellants, and then lighting that RT-0105 engine. And look at that, it is actually firing. Fortunately, this engine was designed for vacuum use, and it's really not doing a great job in the atmosphere. Speeding up the footage here because it's taking a long time, but I am showing you this because what it really shows nicely as this rocket is helplessly plummeting to the ground is what the exhaust plume looks like at different altitudes. I'm really quite impressed by the real exhaust, the real plumes mod that's doing that. Look at that. It looks like a launch in reverse. Actually, let's do that. Let's reverse the footage. Here we go. It's going up. Never mind the speed. It's apparently slowing down as it's going up. Sort of looks like a Polaris missile from a submarine. Maybe. I don't know why I said maybe. Maybe it's the sickness invading my brain. Anyway, mission 1 of the Edison launcher. Edison because it's a science launcher with the technology experiments. A failure. We'll try this again. Objectives as follows. But the only difference between this one and the previous rocket is that the satellite, the payload, now also has maneuvering thrusters. This is something I thought about whilst the upper stage was crashing to the ground. So we're hoping to test that out. So here we go, boosting with the side boosters again. Those are powered by the RD-103Ms, our trusty engines from the last episodes. Now this big center engine is powerful, but it's almost not powerful enough to loft this engine up into space. Oh shit, another failure. This time it's one of the side boosters, and that's pivoting the rocket around and crashing it into, well, onrushing air. Now the stupid bit is I did set up action groups to deal with a failure like this. Like I had the 5 key bound to shut down all side boosters. Unfortunately, my reactions weren't fast enough, and well, the rocket has disintegrated. So far, not a great run for the Edison. Still, the scientists believe in the probe. We still have technologies under development for manned space flight, so we're gonna stick with it. Edison 3, mission objectives, no explosions. I think that's fairly self-explanatory. There we go again, same rocket. Now it's worth noting that the side boosters, the RD-103Ms, the ones that are based on ethanol technology, ethanol fuel really, they're technically a generation behind the center engine, the RD-108. That's a kerolox, like kerosene liquid oxygen engine. The R7 that delivered Sputnik into orbit, that was fueled by this engine, but it had 4 outer boosters with similar kerolox engines rather than the obsolete ethanol one. So that's probably what we're going to see after this. So the first stage burns out pretty well this time. No unexpected engine failures. Just saw fairing separation, and now we're in space. We're traveling at a good clip, almost 5 kilometers per second, and now is the time for the upper stage to shine. Let's see, firing the solid boosters, and think back to that propellant plume, that exhaust plume as it crashed to the earth is really looking a lot different here. The reason that vacuum engines, they need such, well, the reason the plume expands in a vacuum is because there is no surrounding air pressure. There's nothing holding it near the nozzle. So as soon as it leaves the nozzle, it's just going to adiabatically expand and go anywhere. That's what you're seeing here. And the reason you actually want a rocket nozzle is to channel the momentum of the exhaust and channel it backwards. I mean, if you just have no nozzle and you're going to spew your exhaust out the back, you're still going to get some thrust, but you're going to waste a lot in propellant that's accelerating sideways. You don't want that. This is the reason that there is a different configuration for engine nozzles for sea level thrust and for vacuum thrust. Generally, for sea level thrust, you want a smaller engine nozzle because the surrounding air pressure will do a bit of the job of channeling the exhaust. Now, this will also cost you efficiency, but you cannot get around that. The exhaust is going to have to push away the air that's already there. This is something in vacuum that's not necessary. But in a vacuum, you need a bigger nozzle to channel your momentum in the right direction. So this is why upper stages generally have a very similar but different engine bell than lower stage engines. Alright, what do we have? We have a premature engine shutdown, and I will tell you why. There is 900 meters per second of delta V left in the tanks. We shut down the engines ourselves because this little probe was going on an Earth escape trajectory. And that's really impressive. In fact, the upper stage is still on an Earth escape trajectory, but if we do that, we'll not get our probe back. And we don't need it back on the ground, but we do need it near enough to transmit science. So we're going to try the on-orbit maneuvering system to actually slow this probe back down. And that's, well, the mission objective so far was no explosions. I mean, let's be real, that has been achieved so far. But the previous mission objectives was also to test out the maneuvering system and the engine. So I think we can call the Edison mission a success by now. Of course, this probe is also studded with science instruments and an antenna, and we're going to determine the altitude at which an antenna doesn't function anymore, a regular cheap antenna. Well, this burn took a while, but we are now in a fairly elliptical orbit around the Earth, currently cruising at a PG altitude of just under 1,000 kilometers, just radioing back some science to the Earth-based mission controllers. I hope they are happy with what we're sending them. Let's have a look. Let's try, and I'm just setting up an alarm here to find our apoapsis, basically, and see what we get out of this probe. Here we go. A very, very elliptical orbit, and this works out to, I think it's about 400,000, no, not 400,000, like 4,000 kilometers. Let's see, what's it saying? We're currently, our altitude now is 90,000 kilometers. I think it's about 40,000 kilometers that we have a comlink. Yeah, there we go. Comlink acquired, altitude. Are we still reading altitude? Yeah, 34,000 kilometers. And there's a little bit of leeway for observation posts on different parts of the planet. Yeah, and as this probe gently orbits and, well, tries to transmit some science, it's time to take stock of our space program. Where are we? Where are we going? I mean, we have a launcher that has a proven capability of slamming something out of the gravity well of the Earth. This is powerful. Of course, the satellite itself is pretty small and limited, but it is a satellite. It does have batteries. It does have solar panels, and while I'm still experimenting with exactly how much solar panels are needed to, well, at least keep the antennae on. And what I really like about this, by the way, is that you can shut down the avionics, which will relinquish control of the vessel, but drastically reduce its power load. But that's for the future. We have prestige contracts coming up where they want us to do lunar impact missions, lunar orbit, obviously, and hey, lunar lander at some point, which is all great. But the biggest problem with those missions at this point of our space program, it's not really a race, is it? More a prestige race. The biggest obstacle to doing these missions is that our space engines, they have only one ignition, and technically you can, of course, bring several smaller stages, but you're incurring a pretty big mass hit for each engine you bring, and it gets quite hard and failure prone if every burn needs to be perfect. So you cannot shut down your engine and relight it. Fortunately, there is, of course, a way around this. It's called technology. We are researching. What are we researching? Something like gas generator engine cycles. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I know what a gas generator engine is. We're researching a technology node that has an engine that allows for 5 restarts. And with that, we are going to develop a lunar probe, which will impact or science or scan or, go places. So this is what we are researching. It's still about a year and a half until that research is finished. So in the meantime, and this means the next episode, we're going to work on our man-rated capsule. Now the RD-108 has proven itself with this groundbreaking, pioneering satellite mission. We can scale it up and build an R7-like booster to get a capsule into orbit and back home again, of course, safely. Now, we have learned from our mistakes. We're not going to send Kerbals on this untested rocket. We're going to design in abort modes and send a unmanned capsule into orbit and back down again and see how that goes for us. That's the plan for the next episode, and then probably the one after that we're going to get restartable engines and flying to the moon. Of course, the ultimate mission of this whole series will be to get people on Mars and back, because that's what the real world people are also doing, and it's a nice challenging challenge. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope it didn't overrun my video time. If so, you're staring at a black screen right now, but no, I hope you enjoyed the black screen. See you next time. Goodbye. Thanks for watching. All that jazz. You know what to do.